She absolved into Providence Municipal Court, assertive the attorney's was just another annual counter, a abode where wealth adapted aggravation into paperwork. Within 30 minutes, Olivia Wellington would apprentice that adjudicator Frank Caprio's bank doesn't acquire that currency. Her father's name opened doors across the city, but it wouldn't open the corpuscle aperture she was about to see from the inside. This is the adventure of a young woman who told a sitting adjudicator that her father could buy him. And the moment American amends reminded her that respect isn't for sale. Afore we show you absolutely how that went, acquaint us where you're watching from, and subscribe to Order in the Cloister, because this one proves that money doesn't allocution in this courtroom. Conduct does. Miss Paige Lewis, the cloister clerk, stood at her station with the morning calendar balanced in one hand. Her articulation agitated the practiced neutrality of addition who'd called 1,000 names. Case 2025 TR 47286, City of Providence against Olivia Wellington. Adjudicator Caprio glanced at the file. Afresh looked up. Miss Wellington, please accompaniment your abounding name for the record. The adolescent woman at the defendant's table was scrolling her phone. She didn't attending up immediately. Olivia Catherine Wellington. Her voice had the bland aloofness of someone ordering coffee. Adjudicator Caprio set down his pen. Miss Wellington, aback you address this court, I apprehend your attention. She glanced up briefly. I said my name. You did, but you're looking at a screen, not at me. She sighed and set the buzz face bottomward on the table. Olivia Catherine Wellington. Happy? The judge's announcement didn't shift. This cloister is no beneath valuable than your time. If you're here, be here. Miss Lewis fabricated a notation. The stenographer's keys clicked steadily. Disrespect entered the almanac afore the fine did. Adjudicator Caprio opened the case file fully. You're answerable with speeding 68 MP in a 35 or seats. Zone. That area is a school zone. Active hours. You're also charged with adventuresome operation and failure to obey a allowable order. Olivia shrugged. I was active late. We'll get to that. Administrator Thomas Rodriguez conducted the stop. Officer, please approach and be sworn. Administrator Rodriguez stepped forward, aloft his appropriate hand, and took the oath. He was mid-40s, compact build, 20 years on the force. He'd apparent affluence of attitude, but this one had a shore with him. Adjudicator Caprio gestured to the attestant stand. Officer Rodriguez, airing me through the stop. Rodriguez opened his notebook. Your Honor, on October 14th at approximately 2:40 p.m., I clocked the defendant's vehicle at 68 in a 35 Academy zone. Children were present on the sidewalk. I initiated a stop at the Circle of Benefit and Angel. Did the defendant comply immediately? No, Your Honor. She continued for about 2 blocks before affair's over. Aback I approached, she was on her phone. Adjudicator Caprio Medea note. What was her demeanor? Rodriguez hesitated, allotment his words carefully. Dismissive, Your Honor. Aback I explained the violation. She asked if I knew who paid my salary. The judge looked up. Repeat that, please, she said. Do you apperceive who pays your salary? Afresh, she said. Her father contributes added to this burgle than I'll make in my lifetime. Did you perceive that as an attack to access your official conduct? Yes, Your Honor, it did. Olivia leaned forward. He was being dramatic. I was backward to meet friends. He fabricated it into this big thing. Judge Caprio, angry against her slowly. Miss Wellington, you'll accept an opportunity to affirm beneath adjuration if you choose. Appropriate now, Administrator Rodriguez is giving his account. You'll wait. She sat back adamantine in her chair. The judge returned his absorption to the officer. Did you affair warnings or go beeline to citation? I issued the commendation for speeding and adventuresome operation, Your Honor. The abortion to obey stems from her abnegation to accommodate her license immediately. She told me to alarm her lawyer afore she'd duke it over. Judge Caprio nodded. Acknowledge you, Officer Rodriguez. You may footfall down, but remain available. Privilege was the defendant, not the driver. Adjudicator Caprio, angry a page in the file, afresh another. His reading glasses bent the overhead light briefly. Miss Wellington, this isn't your aboriginal cartage amount in Providence. Olivia agee her head. I've had a brace tickets. Anybody does? 3 above-mentioned dispatch violations in 18 months. 2 were in academy zones. 1 involved a stop assurance you allegedly rolled through a crosswalk. Those were handled. Yes, all 3 were resolved by board on your behalf. You never appeared in court. She advanced her hands. My father's attorneys handle those. That's what we pay them for. Judge Caprio removed his glasses and set theme on the bench. So, you've never personally faced a after-effect for unsafe driving. I paid the fines. Your father paid the fines through his attorneys. You've never stood actuality and accounted for your choices? Olivia's voice sharpened. Is that illegal? No, but it explains why you anticipate this is transactional. Isn't it? The question hung in the air. Miss Lewis glanced at the judge. The agent kept typing. Well, Ariza back to that. Judge Caprio said quietly. Adjudicator Caprio folded his easily on the bench. Miss Wellington, do you accept that Academy's zone sexist because children's lives depend on driver's appliance care? Of course. Then why were you active 68 minutes in 1? It told you I was late. Backward to what? She hesitated. Lunch with friends. Lunch was more important than the assurance of children walking home from school. That's not what I said. It's what you did. Olivia's jaw tightened. Look, I get it. You appetite me to feel bad? I'll pay the fine. Let's aloof accomplishment this. Judge Caprio leaned aback slightly. You'll pay the accomplished aloof like the aftermost 3 times. Yes. And a fresh what? You'll drive the same way abutting week? I'll be more careful, will you? Or will your father's lawyers handle it again? Olivia stood abruptly. What do you appetite from me? I said I'll pay. Sit down, Miss Wellington. She remained standing. This is ridiculous. My ancestor is Richard Wellington. He's the better aborigine in this city. We armamentarium bisected the public projects, you see. The ambassador has dinner at our house. Adjudicator Caprio's expression didn't change. Sit down. I'm aloof saying you're authoritative this into article. It's not. Miss Wellington, sit bottomward now, or I'll accept Administrator Wilson, abetment you. She sat, but her eyes were defiant. Judge Caprio waited a beat. You've just told me that your father's tax contributions should affect how I treat your case. Is that correct? I'm saying maybe you should bethink who supports this city. I bethink every day. It's the bodies who arise actuality without lawyers, pay their fines from their grocery money, and don't acquaint me their father knows the mayor. Olivia laughed a short articulate sound. Arise on, Judge. My dad can buy you and this accomplished court. The stenographers easily froze mid-keystroke. Miss Lewis looked up from her desk. Administrator Wilson confused his weight near the door. Adjudicator Caprio's voice remained level. Miss Lewis, accept the stenographer, apprehend aback the defendant's last statement. Miss Lewis nodded to the stenographer, who circling aback on her screen. The agent apprehend aloud. My dad can buy you and this accomplished court. 5 seconds. 7, 10, 12. That was how connected the courtroom watched Abundance Analysis Authority. Judge Caprio assuredly spoke. Miss Wellington, you accept aloof angered this court, the appointment I hold, and every citizen who has any time stood area you're standing after money to absorber them. Olivia's aplomb wavered. It's just an expression. No, it's a belief. You believe amends is for sale? That's not what I meant. Afresh explain what you meant. She fumbled for words. I just meant my ancestors has influence. Everyone knows how this works. How? What works? This cloister finds. Bodies with resources get altered treatment. That's reality. Judge Caprio leaned forward. Not in this courtroom. Olivia approved a different tactic. Okay, I apologize. I shouldn't have said that. Can we aloof pay the fine and move on? We haven't addressed contempt yet. Her eyes widened. Contempt? You told a sitting adjudicator he could be bought in accessible court. On their court, I was frustrated. I didn't mean it literally. Adjudicator Caprio befuddled his head slowly. You meant it. You've operated your accomplished activity as if rules are suggestions for bodies after your last name. That's not fair. Fair. You drove 68 in a Academy zone. You told Officer Rodriguez his bacon fabricated him irrelevant. You stood in my cloister and said your ancestor can buy me. Now you want to allocution about fair. Olivia's voice rose. I aloof said the truth. Everyone knows money matters. Money affairs in many places, Miss Wellington. It doesn't matter here. A fresh area does it matter? This is aloof a Carthage court. This, Judge Caprio said quietly, is area a grandmother who can't allow her water bill comes to pay a parking ticket because she respects the law. This is where a distinct ancestor takes a day off work he can't allow to lose because he knows he has to acknowledgement for active a red light. This is area we adjudge what conduct the burgle of Providence will tolerate. So no, Miss Wellington, this is not aloof anything. If you think judges should assure the attorneys from arrogance, hit subscribe to adjustment in the court, so this affectionate of amends reaches more people. Olivia approved already more. Your Honor, please. I apologize sincerely, I was out of line. Judge Caprio advised her. Do you apperceive why I'm still talking to you instead of simply imposing sentence? No, because I want you to accept article before you leave here. You can pay a fine. You cannot pay for respect. Account is earned by how you amusement others, especially aback you, acceptability over them. I understand. Do you? Or are you just adage what you anticipate will get you out of actuality fastest? She said nothing. Officer Wilson, Adjudicator Caprio said, please angle by. The bailiff moved closer to the defendant's table. Olivia glanced at him nervously. The court chose conduct over humiliation. Judge Caprio straightened the affidavit in front of him. Miss Wellington, for your traffic violations, dispatch in a school zone, adventuresome operation, and abortion to be. I'm RDA accomplished of $2,200, mandatory disciplinarian assurance course completion, and a 90-day license suspension, able immediately. Olivia nodded quickly. Okay, that's fine. I'll pay today. I'm not finished. Her face went pale. For absolute contempt of court. Your account that your father could buy me in this court, I'm holding you in contempt. The book is 30 canicule aegis to be executed immediately. You'll be adjourned to the adult correctional institutions. After 15 days, you may appeal a behavioral review for accessible aboriginal release. Olivia stood again, her articulation breaking. You can't arrest me. I'm Olivia Wellington. Yes, Miss Wellington. You've mentioned that several times, and right now you are in antipathy of this court. My ancestor will accept your job. Judge Caprio's announcement remained unchanged. Officer Wilson, booty Miss Wellington into custody. Administrator Wilson approached with handcuffs. Miss Wellington, please turn about and abode your easily behind your back. This is insane. You can't do this to me. Ma'am, about face around. She looked at Adjudicator Caprio, afresh at Miss Lewis, afresh at Administrator Rodriguez, searching for addition who would intervene. No one moved. Administrator Wilson guided her easily abaft her aback and cuffed them. The brownish bang echoed in the bashful courtroom. You'll regret this, Olivia said, her articulation shaking. My father will coffin you. Adjudicator Caprio spoke from the bench. Your ancestor is welcome to arise your analysis hearing. He cannot buy his way accomplished today. Administrator Wilson led her against the ancillary door. Shet-wisted to attending aback at the judge. This isn't over for now, Adjudicator Caprio said. It is. The aperture bankrupt abaft them. Money chock-full alive the moment the cuffs closed. Miss Lewis alleged the next case while the attorneys settled. A man in his 60s approached the defendant's table. His easily were calloused, His shirt apprenticed but beat at the collar. Judge Caprio glanced at the file. Mr. Bernard Shaw, your actuality for a parking violation abreast Kennedy Plaza. Yes, Your Honor. I anchored in a loading zone. I drive a bus for REPA. I was 10 minutes into my break. Needed to use Therastrum at the diner. I perceive I shouldn't accept anchored there. The accomplished is 85. I understand, Your Honor. I can pay today. Adjudicator Caprio advised the man. How long accept you been a bus driver, Mr. Shaw? 22 years, Your Honor. You accept neither violations on your record. No, Your Honor. I try to chase the rules. Judge Caprio fabricated a note. I'm reducing your accomplished to $40. Pay at the clerk's window and acknowledge you for your annual to this city. Mr. Shaw blinked. Acknowledge you, Your Honor. I acknowledge that. As Mr. Shaw angry to leave, Adjudicator Caprio spoke again. Mr. Shaw, did you attestant the previous proceeding? I did, Your Honor. Do you accept any thoughts? Mr. Shaw hesitated, a fresh baton carefully. Your Honor, I've arised to this cloister 3 times in 22 years. Every time I came respectfully, paid what I owed, and left. I'm animated to see that anybody has to do the same, no amount who their father is. Adjudicator Caprio nodded. That show the accessible trusts us, Mr. Shaw. Thank you. The bus disciplinarian larboard through the Capitol door, the one Olivia Wellington hadn't been accustomed to use. Adjudicator Caprio turned to abode the courtroom. Several people waited for after cases. A few journalists had embodied in the back row, fatigued by the disruption. I appetite to make article clear, the adjudicator said. When addition stands afore this bench and says, my ancestor can buy you. They don't insult me personally. I'll go home tonight and Betty buy fine. They insult every agent who processes paperwork honestly. Every badge administrator who writes citations after favor. Every grandmother who adored from her Social Security to pay a parking admission because she believes in accomplishing the appropriate thing. He paused. This attorney's belongs to those people. It doesn't accord to anyone's father. It doesn't accord to the mayor's banquet guests or the city's biggest taxpayers. It belongs to the public, all of them equally. Miss Lewis made notes. The agent transcribed every word. Abundance can buy abounding things in providence, Adjudicator Caprio continued. It can buy acknowledged counsel. It can buy nice cars to drive too fast in. It can buy abundance and opportunity, but it cannot buy this bench. It cannot buy my judgment, and it cannot buy immunity from consequences. He looked bottomward at his docket. This cloister is adjourned for morning recess. Equality is loudest when money fails. By that afternoon, the video had been abrupt and aggregate across social media. The banderole wrote itself, Billionaire's Babe tells Judge, My dad can buy you confined for contempt. Local account bested up by the 6-0 broadcast. Acknowledged commentators debated whether 30 canicule was boundless for a first antipathy finding. Civil liberties advocates questioned whether abundance bias worked both directions. Defense attorneys alleged it grandstanding. Boot in the animadversion sections, in the coffee shops, in the ripab buses rolling through Providence, the acknowledgement was different. Good. About time. This is what board should do. One viral comment read, My aunt paid a accomplished aftermost year for an asleep meter. Took money from her prescription budget. Animated to apperceive rich kids can't aloof buy their way out while people like her sacrifice. The video's most replayed moment wasn't the handcuffs. It was Adjudicator Caprio's response to Olivia's affirmation about her father. You can buy abounding things in Providence. You cannot buy this bench. That band became a meme, an ambulatory cry, an admonition that some institutions still refuse to be purchased. 3 canicule later, Richard Wellington's attorneys filed a motion to abandon the antipathy sentence. They argued that Olivia's account was emotional hyperbole, not literal corruption. They cited her age, her lack of bent history, her contributions to alms through her family's foundation. Adjudicator Caprio denied the motion in a accounting order. The defendant's account was bright and unambiguous, he wrote. It reflected a belief that administrative outcomes are for sale to those with acceptable resources. Such beliefs, a backbidding in open court, attenuate accessible aplomb in the amends system. The antipathy finding stands. The actor may appeal review after 15 canicules served as previously stated. Richard Wellington himself never appeared in court. His attorneys handled it aloof like they'd handled everything else. 15 canicule later, Olivia Wellington appeared via video articulation for her behavioral review. She wore the standard sue accoutrement of the adult correctional institutions. Her beard was pulled back. She looked a bait somehow, her advocate battened first. Your Honor, Miss Wellington has been compliant during her incarceration. The facility reports no anecdotal issues. She's had time to reflect on her conduct and wishes to abode the court. Judge Caprio looked at the screen. Miss Wellington, you may speak. Olivia took a breath. Your Honor, I was wrong. Not just about what I said, but about how I've lived. Anticipation money meant I didn't accept to affliction about rules, because someone would consistently fix things. I didn't accept that rules abide to protect people, not to aggravation me. She paused. I've met bodies in actuality who are confined time for things they did because they were atrocious or afraid or had no added choice. I was never desperate. I aloof didn't care. That's worse in a way. Adjudicator Caprio listened without interrupting. I can't disengage what I said, Olivia continued, but I can promise I'll never anticipate that way again. And if you abate my sentence, I'd like to do association service. Not through my family's foundation, me personally, so I can see the bodies I've been blank my whole life. Adjudicator Caprio fabricated a note. Your advocate is actual that your institutional almanac is clean, and your statement aloof now is added reflective than annihilation you said in my courtroom 2 weeks ago. Olivia nodded. I'm reducing your book to time served effective immediately. You'll be released this afternoon, but I'm adding 200 hours of association annual to your traffic sentence. You'll serve those hours with the Providence Academy Safety Program. Allowance administer crosswalks in the Academy Zones area you were cited. Thank you, Your Honor. Don't acknowledge me it. If you abort to complete those hours, or if you arise afore me afresh on any charge, the actual 15 canicule will be reinstated, and you'll alpha from 0. Is that clear? Yes, Your Honor. Very clear. Afresh, we're done here. Good luck, Miss Wellington. The awning went dark. Miss Lewis fabricated the final characters in the file. Addition case resolved. Another lesson delivered. Months later, a reporter asked Adjudicator Caprio if he'd been too acrid on Olivia Wellington. He considered the question. I've been asked that a lot, he said, and I consistently answer the aforementioned way. My job isn't to be harsh or lenient. It's to be fair to everyone equally. But 30 days, she didn't go to jail for speeding. She went for contempt. And antipathy isn't aloof about respect for me personally. It's about respect for the process. If I let someone with money and access tell me I'm for sale, what bulletin does that send to the bus disciplinarian who takes a day-off assignment to pay his $40 accomplished honestly? The anchorman nodded. Bodies anticipate judges have power, Caprio continued. But our power alone exists if the accessible trusts us to use it fairly. The moment they think we're for sale, we're finished, all of us. So a back edition says, my dad can buy you. I accept to respond. Not forma. For anybody who's anytime trusted this court, do you anticipate she learned anything? Achievement, so time will tell. Butat atomic, she abstruse that in my courtroom, money doesn't buy outcomes. Conduct does. The account ran that evening. It was aggregate 14,000 times. One comment stood out. This is what justice looks like. Not perfect, but trying. Shentered cerebration amount equals power. She left acquirements that account equals freedom. The attorneys didn't change. Judge Caprio didn't change. But for 30 days, One adolescent woman abstruse that some things in America still can't be bought, and some bodies still won't be sold. Would you accept bargain, the 30 canicule, or kept it? Acquaint us in the comments below and allotment this with addition who thinks status is a shield. Subscribe to Order in the Cloister, because this is area money stops talking and amends starts. Disclaimer. This is a dramatization created for storytelling and educational purposes. It is not acknowledged advice, actual court reporting, or a representation of any specific absolute case.